Okay, nobody's here yet. So we just gonna chill. Can I share this? I clicked on the wrong button. I can share it here. And it's done. Okay, my tweet has been posted. Oh, hello! People are here now. I don't have my headphones plugged in or anything. There's also music playing in the background, so if that's annoying, just tell me and I can fix it. And also my desk shakes and I was leaning on it, so it happens. But yeah, we're just gonna chill. It's just me, Josh and Angie are currently in transit to Denver right now. So it's just me. And when it's just me, that means we're just going to chill. We're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about Star Wars. I really wish you could see my desk right now because I have stuff literally everywhere. I have books everywhere because I have this desk that everything is sitting on. Then I have a desk next to me where I just pile extra crap. And that's currently what we have right now. So I want to talk about Solo first and foremost because that recently just came out on DVD and I haven't seen this movie probably since May. I know that I saw it twice in the theater, but I never saw it after I read Most Wanted, which came out around the end of May, I believe. So going into that movie, I had only read Last Shot by Daniel Older, and I really enjoyed Solo when I saw it. It did have problems, like the writing is, some of the writing choices could have been a lot better, but for the most part I thought it was just like a fun movie. It was what it was. It was just totally fine. Seeing it again, it was just kind of the same, like nothing really changed for me. But after reading all of the books, and especially this little buddy right here, the solo novelization, and then watching the movie again, I did not have a great viewing experience this third time that I've watched the movie. And it was just because the problems with the film were just so more apparent. And what it is just it's a lot of weird writing choices because it's still a fun movie. It's like a really, really fun movie and it is really enjoyable, but it's the writing choices that are a little bit weird. And I mean, even like they even came out with a little Q&A where they talked about how like their female characters were too cool and they didn't know what to do with them. And I'm like, that's very bad. That's a very bad situation to be in. But I want to talk about the Solo novelization first before we really get into anything, because this book, it's written by Mur Lafferty. It's I believe the only novelization that has been written by a woman. There are other Star Wars books that like women have written, but I want to say this is the only novelization written by a woman, and it is so good. It's probably it's one of my favorite Star Wars books just in general, but it's probably my favorite novelization just because she completely outdid herself. Like the characterization is just there and she really gets it with the female characters. You really get inside their heads. And more than anything, this shows you what the movie could have been because she just took what was there and she just expanded on it. She didn't really change things. She just put in a few little extra bits that made things start to make sense. I'm just going to read out some chat here. So Brittany over 7 Joyd said they definitely could have left out the part with Han receiving his last name. Yeah, that was lame. Like honestly, Han should have taken the name Organa, then should be called Ben Organa Solo or Solo Organa or whatever, because it's just lame. It's dumb. And plus, like Leia is the last Organa now, so why wouldn't she want to keep, like, why wouldn't they take her name? I don't know. Like, that's just dumb. And then Alex said, my best viewing experience was right after I read Most Wanted. Worst viewing was definitely after the Solo novelization. Yeah, and every time Ben's, given the name Solo, it's dumb. Although I do like that Ben's name is literally Last Hope, which is great. But it's just, it could have been a lot better. But the Solo novelization, what it does is it shows you what could have been. So watching the movie after reading that book makes things very frustrating because you know that things like could have been there and they just aren't. And it also makes me really frustrated because we get this like awesome, cute, adorable snowball scene in the special features between Han and Chewie. That was literally right after Beckett was like building graves. So I don't know who put that in, but whoever decided to take that out was a genius and deserves a pat on the back. But I do want to say that the beginning of that movie, the beginning of Solo, I liked a lot more this third time I read it because that was finally getting to watch it after reading Most Wanted. And what Most Wanted does is it really expands a lot more on Corellia, and it go ahead and it like introduces you to Han and Kira and where they're at in their lives. So it makes the beginning of Solo kind of make more sense. Like you kind of get some like context for where they're at there. So I think this does a really good job with that. And I also think that if you want more Kira and if you want to understand more about Kira's character, Most Wanted is definitely where you're going to get it. You're going to get it in the Solo novelization too, which we'll talk a lot more about, but you really get it all here. You really just get her entire personality, and like I feel like I have a really good understanding of Kira is from this book because she's very different from Han. She's definitely more of a planner. She wants a better life for herself, and she's a survivor. And that is one thing that they hammer home again and again and again. The more you watch the movie, the more you read the books, is that she is a survivor and she's going to do whatever it takes to keep herself in the game as long as possible. Only read Last Shot out of the Solo books. You definitely should. I highly recommend reading all three books out of all of them. But I especially want to know, Brittany, did you read Last Shot before you saw Solo? Because Alex and I were actually talking about this because her boyfriend Tony mentioned that maybe the reason why we love L3 so much is because we read Last Shot first. Because so many people hate L3. Like it is a big deal how many people hate L3. Like I made a video about how much I love L3. I had to disable the comments on that video because it was ridiculous and I was tired of reading them and I didn't want other people to get upset reading them because it wasn't that they were like the hate was getting to me. I just didn't want other people to get riled up by it because it was starting to get very hateful and there were a lot of slurs being thrown around, but people really hate her. But like Alex and I came out of that movie and we loved L3 and like she's one of my favorite characters. And I do agree that I think it was because we read Last Shot first, because you do get more of her in this book. You really are introduced to this self-made droid who built herself up. She realized that like she had this sentience and she had like her own mind and she really is her own person. Like she is her own droid. And she even says like this amazing thing to Lando, and I had it open and then I shut it. Yeah, she was talking to Lando about like building her own self, like who is the maker but who we really are. And she said, maybe we're our own makers, no matter who put the parts together. And that's just something that I really admire. And you really get that a lot in Last Shot, and she even plays a huge part in Endgame towards Last Shot. So I don't want to spoil that for anybody if you haven't read the book, but she does play a pretty big part in that. So going into Solo, I was super excited to see her. And then, I feel like she was great and I loved her and I really felt her death, and like her death is super like pain train in the novel. But so many people came out of that movie just hating her. So I think that's probably where the difference is. Yeah, Tony didn't hate L3, but that was just a way that he thought maybe that difference lied. Read it after, but liked L3's character. So yeah, there's probably a lot of things that go into whether or not you like L3. But I do think it's interesting how Tony's right. You don't really get to learn about how she's a self-made droid and all of that kind of stuff. You really just see the comedic relief on the surface of her. You do kind of have to dig a little bit deeper to find, those self-made attributes and how she really prizes like sentience and equality and just like all that kind of stuff. He was way more sad about Rio than L3, but we don't really get to spend a lot of time with Rio. I feel like I like that he's there, but okay, so that's one of the things that like I would change about Solo, because jumping from Corellia to Mimban is weird. It doesn't fit. That's kind of the way that this movie goes, is it nothing really fits very well. And a lot of people do talk about how this could have easily been like a mini series. So like we have Corellia, then we have Mimban, then we have the main heist, and it's a lot of things that happen that aren't really like connected very well for the sake of the movie. So if it had been split up, it would have made a little bit more sense. But that transition from Corellia to Mimban, like while it is kind of funny, it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially because he meets Beckett and his crew and just immediately goes off with them, and then people start dying, and like you don't get to feel the emotional weight of it. And then you also don't get to see Beckett mourning them. I mean, yes, he builds their graves and he seems kind of upset, but then after that, like he's totally fine and we're just moving on. So nothing really matters as much. So I wonder if we had done like a little time jump and maybe talked about how like Han had been kicked out. Like that could have been like a line. It could have been like a little bit of a montage, just something small, like not huge. You don't want to disrupt the pacing too much. And jump with him already with Beckett and Val and all them, and already kind of fitting in as a family. They can still go to Mimban. They can still meet Chewie there. But I feel like if he'd already had an established relationship with all of them, you would have been able to feel that emotional weight of all of the deaths just a little bit more. I mean, Rio's death is very sad. And L3 does live on, and that is one thing that is kind of a big deal, like her integrating with the Falcon. And it was, oh God, it was so irritating reading or listening to that scene after reading the Solo novelization, because it's like, it rips your heart out. Like when L3 is being integrated into the Falcon, because she's actually talking with Lando because she doesn't want to die and she doesn't want to leave Lando, but being part of the Falcon isn't something that she would want, because that is her having to like follow orders by somebody. She won't be free like she could have been in her droid body. She's not really her own person anymore. But she does come to terms with the fact that she's not ready to die. Like she does, like she wants to hold on. She wants to be with Lando. And it's, oh God, it really gets you. It is such a pain train. And I just found it. So Lando says to her, your personality is still here, making you unique among all the ships in the galaxy. And we're still together. My best friend, the best co-pilot ever, is still with me. And then it skips down a little bit, and she decides, to become one with the Falcon. And the last little bits of pure L3 just start flickering one last time. And it says, and then they were one, the docile, friendly Falcon, the fiercely independent and brilliant droid, becoming something entirely new and entirely unique. And that is so beautiful. And I love it so much. And in the movie, it's like nothing. Like they just like plug her in and it's just like, she's part of the ship now. And then they don't really like acknowledge it at all. And I'm just like, because like when I saw the movie the first time, I was sad and I thought it was great. But then you read it in the book and you're like, it could have been so much better. Like it just, oh, I love it so freaking much. Yes, Brittany, you need to read the novelization. It's so good. It's just, there's so much in here like that. And now I've lost the page. I had it open to that page. Oh, so my favorite thing from the novelization, and the thing that probably makes me the most angry, like when watching the movie, is that, so in the movie, we do get a scene with L3 and Kira having their girl talk, but really all they do is talk about boy stuff, which is annoying. Like, girls don't always just talk about boy stuff. But in the book, found it. So in the book, it's an extended scene, and her and L3 actually talk about things, and Kira talks about like her entire backstory. We get to see what happens to her after Han leaves Corellia and how she gets with Crimson Dawn, and you really feel that. And L3 is really there for her, and they kind of have like this amazing like heart to heart. And she's the one who tells her, it's like, it doesn't matter what they call you. You're going to do whatever it takes because you're a survivor. Like, just because they made you do horrible things, it doesn't necessarily make you a horrible person, because inside you are a survivor and you're just going to do whatever it takes to keep on going. And she says it again. She says, you are what they made you, but you've made yourself too. It's just like that, we are our own makers no matter who put the parts together. So even though Kira's been through so much and she feels like she's been shaped by these other people, she is still her own maker and she's still in control of her own destiny. And that actually, so I'm also rereading the Throne of Glass series, and there's a big arc in that with the witch covens and how, like, have they been made into monsters or were they born that way? And it's really amazing to see them learn to hope and to learn to be like, you know what, maybe I don't have to be this like loyalty, brutality monster that everybody thinks I have to be. Maybe I can be a force for good things. And that's kind of, it reminds me a lot of this. And it says, that she was treated like a droid. Like Kira was treated like a droid. She was traded from master to master with no ability to make her own choices. So the question remains, where is Kira's restraining bolt? What is keeping her around? And I love that. I really love the similarities and the parallels between L3, and you don't get that at all in the movie. And I understand, like, pacing is a thing and it would slow stuff down, but it adds so much more weight and you can connect so much more to the characters, because I really was aware of in this viewing that the only characters you really spend a lot of time with are Han and Chewie, but you're also going off of stuff that you already know about them. So a lot of our new characters, you just don't get a ton from them. You do get a lot from Kira, but like I remember the first time I saw it, I walked to that movie and I was like, I just want to know more about her. She seems like such a mystery. And luckily we do get to explore her in the books. But I would have really loved to be able to spend more time with her, especially when she starts talking about how she's had enough of men telling her who she can talk to or be with, and just she like blows up on Han, and it's just absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna check out the chat because it's going. Read any of the Legends book? That's for a question for Alex. I need to get more into Legends. I still need to read Courtship of Princess Leia. I have it sitting out, but I got behind because I'm reading Throne of Glass, and I'm probably going to read Graceling after that because I promised Erin from Meta Machina that I would. Hello, Inside the Parks. What's up? Join us. We are talking about the wonderful world of books. But those were kind of like my main issues, was that you get so much more characterization outside of the movie, and you become so aware of the dumb choices that they made in the movie. But the third and probably the last big thing that really irritated me with this film was Val, and Val's death, because Val was just paid dust. And you still don't get to spend a ton of time with her in the book, but you do get to spend a lot more time seeing how Beckett reacts to her death, because this is a man who goes into shock. This is a man who has just lost everything. He's lost his entire crew. They're all dead. And he just goes off the rails. Like, he almost just like stops functioning. And you really get a sense of that in the book. And I feel like in the movie, that's like really glossed over. Like, nothing really seems to matter. Then especially like at the end, because he was just talking about like, oh yeah, I'm going to go back and play the Valacord. And it's like, that could have been like a nice cute nod to like Val, but it doesn't come off that way. And it just made me so frustrated, because it's just like, she like, Tandy, why would you get character like Tandy Newton and just not do anything with her? Just kill her off immediately. And just yeah, she could get a one-shot comic. That is probably the best thing to do for her. I don't know what they would do with that. It just, it's such a missed opportunity, because I wanted to see Val with Enfys Nest, because I just like, there's something there. I know it. That's what I want. Like, can we have like a backup? Like, can we like do like a solo prequel where we get Val meeting Beckett and it like they get tangled up with Enfys Nest? Like, that's what I want. I want like more content for that. Inside the Parks, you haven't seen Solo yet. Well, you should, because it's absolutely amazing, man. It's great. It's fun. It's got its issues. You should definitely supplement it with Solo Novelization, because it's amazing. But It's definitely worth the watch. It's really, really cool. That is probably the best thing that Solo does, is that it introduces you to so many more characters, and I feel like it does a really good job with building up the world, in just a really interesting way. Because like with Rogue One, I feel like I like the way that they did those characters. I feel like they did a good job with those characters, but I didn't feel like we got a sense of the world too much. You get a sense of the politics. I feel like you kind of get like the mindsets and like how people feel about the war within the resistance, or like within, you know, like you go to Jeddah and like all that kind of stuff. But in Solo, you go to so many different planets and you do get an interesting look at the war at this time, and it's really cool. Like it just felt really different, and I feel like a lot of like all of the characters that they introduced are so freaking awesome, and apparently that was the problem, that they were too cool and they just didn't know what to do with them, so they shafted all of them, and it's just, it's great. It's just absolutely great. A prequel to a prequel. Yeah, it is out on Blu-ray now. I don't know. Well, that means it would be out on Redbox, so you could definitely rent it and see it that way. I do highly recommend if you can buy it, because the bonus features are actually pretty cool. I love the round table with the cast and Alden talking about his Nana. It's really, really cute. And it's just, you get to spend more time with these characters. Like that's what we need. We need more time with these characters. And I feel like the door was open to do more Solo movies. And I don't think that's going to happen anymore because of the reception that it's got, which is really upsetting. There goes my chat disappeared for a second. Which is really upsetting because these characters are really cool, and I just wish we could get more time with them, because that's really what they need. So, although as far as special features go, Last Jedi takes the cake. Oh my god, the special features on The Last Jedi are amazing. I actually haven't watched Director and the Jedi in a long time, and I've kind of been in the mood to do it. I just like, every time I want to sit down and like do something for myself, I'm like, you should be doing this other thing. And it never happens. So maybe one day I'll get to rewatch all that stuff, and that would be great. A comic series for Infant's Nest would be really cool. I hope that they get added to what's it called? Forces of Destiny. I don't know if they'd be able to get the original actresses though if they did that, but I think that'd be really cool. Or to see them in an animated series in some type of way. Like that's what I would really like from Infant's Nest, actually, is like as some sort of animated series, because that would be potential to get Jyn, like baby Jyn. That was another thing. I'm kind of sad that we had already gotten Rebel Rising, which is Jyn's like entire life story, because we could have gotten Emphas and Jyn. Like Emphas could have been in that book, but she wasn't created yet, so that was kind of sad. I guess she could have been in it, because I'm sure they had an idea for her, but there's so much potential. And yeah, we could honestly have a comic series just for everything. My only issue is that like I'm a selfish person. I don't read the comics. So I'm like, yeah, a comic series would be great, but I wouldn't read it. I mean, I might. Like if it was something like Infant's Nest, I probably would. I always meant to read the Poe Dameron comics, but instead I just let my friends spoil it for me, so I don't want to read them. I read a lot of stuff, okay? I'm like 5 books away from beating my reading goal, and it's like tomorrow's October, so I'm like ahead of the game. And once I beat my reading goal, maybe I can calm down. We'll see what happens. Comics are awesome. Just have to get into them. I have to figure out a way. I like graphic novels. Those, for some reason, those are different for me. Like I have the Last Jedi graphic novel. Vader is sitting right in front of it. That one was cute. It's got shirtless Kylo Ren on the back of it. It's like, it's catering to me. That's pretty much all I have about Solo. The only other thing that bothered me, which is like one pet peeve, and it was just like a throwaway line from Lando about L3, which isn't really a big deal, but it's a big deal when you like L3, and it's like, come on, man, you're in love with her, and her death is devastating, and it just gets you. Mur Lafferty should just rework the whole. She should write everything. I want her to write the freaking 9 novelization. That would be amazing. I don't know how she writes smut though. Like, is she like an angsty person? Is she like a fluffy person? Like, is it, is it kinky? Is it hot? Like, I don't know. Like, you never know with authors until you know that much. So what doesn't sound like a big deal. I'm confused. Yeah, see, Alex is gonna read the Poe comics, and then she can just tell me all about them, and that's my master plan. So I don't have to read them. There goes my camera shaking. But before I go, I do want to talk a little bit about Saturday Night Live. So I don't know how many of you. Hi there. I don't know how many of you stayed up and watched Saturday Night Live, but our boy Adam Designated Driver was the host, and you don't watch SNL. Inside the Parks, what are you doing? Haven't seen Solo, don't watch SNL. Well, last night's episode wasn't very good. The first episode that Adam Driver was on was amazing. So we got like Matt the Radar Technician, we got Anal Beads Dude, we got Aladdin. It was great. In this episode, some of the sketches were good. Like the Oil Baron one was amazing. Okay, Old Man Parnassus like snatched everybody's heart. He was amazing, and it's great, and I want to just crush everybody's spirits into the ground, and Pete Davidson could not even handle it. That was outstanding. But other than that, like, there wasn't really anything good. I really liked the Fortnite one where Adam Driver got to play what is it? I already forgot his name. He plays like this old divorced dad trying to play Fortnite, and it's it's hilarious, and like he's holding the controller just like totally wrong, and it's just like everybody has a hand kink for Adam Driver, and then it was just like it's so perfect. There's so much weird fan fiction that has already been spawned, and as Alex is saying, ponytail Adam. So yeah, not only did he have a ponytail, which we'll talk about that in a second, but he had a ponytail. He was also talking with a New York accent, and he called it a biscuity cookie, which is amazing. And he knows Krav Maga. So we got some like Equilibrium bin, we got some Kyril in there, like it's great. I've just gone into complete like total Stan fanfiction territory, so I'm sorry if I'm saying words that don't make sense. But let's just talk about, yeah, he had a ponytail. So that's what I want to talk about. Adam Driver's hair is now long enough to pull back into a little tiny ponytail. So hair watch. It's definitely The Last Jedi length, and he was definitely serving some redeemed Ben Solo looks. He wore gray like almost the entire episode. Like our boy's getting redeemed. That's what that means. That means our boy is getting redeemed. It's definitely, yeah. Hair watch. Fangirl mode is on. Okay. But yeah, our boy is getting redeemed. That's what all of those gray shirts mean. There weren't any Star Wars like skits or anything. They talked about it a little bit in the opening monologue. Like the main thing was just, I love how I lost like everybody when I went into fangirl mode. We did get a little bit of stuff in the beginning. Like we got Kylo's theme, which was great, but otherwise we didn't get anything. And I think that's we were thirsting so hard. It's true. I still have pictures on my phone, like the amazing one with like the bird sitting on him. Like I love that one so much. It's my banner on Twitter now. Just if you want to just check that out. I already. Oh yeah. So I'm of the opinion that there wasn't any Star Wars content because like Lucasfilm shut that down. I feel like 9 is gonna be so sensitive when it comes to leaks and spoilers. So even joking about it on Saturday Night Live could be the potential for some kind of spoiler. So I would see why they wouldn't even want to go there, because like Matt the Radar Technician, whether we like it or not, is so ingrained into Star Wars culture now, and it did have an effect on the character and like how people see the character. So going into episode 9, I feel like they're gonna want to keep Kylo Ren like on lock. Like even whatever it's called, Knights of Rant have this theory that we're not even going to see him until like halfway through the movie, which would be devastating. But I'd also understand because you just want to keep that completely locked down, so we don't know at all where it's going to go. Because even just seeing Adam Driver's hair can suggest to us how the movie's going to end, and it's going to end with Reylo, and it's going to end with Redemption. That's just what's going to happen. Inside the parks, you gotta get on the Reylo bandwagon, man. It's great. It doesn't have to be romantic Reylo. It can just be because the connection's great. Yeah, no Kylo Ren until the movie. Like I really think that they just want to keep that stuff completely unlocked, because I don't see how they wouldn't go to make fun of Swolo, or how they wouldn't make fun of like us thirsting after his hair and like all this kind of stuff. Like Saturday Night Live knows the impact that Adam Driver has on the internet, and they also know the impact that Matt the Radar Technician has. So the fact that they didn't even do a part 2 is a little bit weird, and I think it's just a little bit telling. Yeah, the Reylo community is like the most fun community, like, because we can have fun with anything. I can turn anything into a Reylo AU. If you just like give me something, I can tell you it'll be a Reylo AU. It doesn't take, if you think hard enough, everything is. And we just have a lot of fun. Like there's going to be like a Reylo gift exchange this year, which I'm going to take part in, which I think is going to be really, really fun. People were sending food to Reylos in the lineup for SNL, which, if that's anything like what Celebration is going to be like, oh man, we are definitely in for it. But I am super, super excited. All right, well, that Starbucks King, you just arrived, but I'm actually getting ready to sign off because that is everything I have. Unless you guys have any questions for me about literally anything, I'm here. Otherwise, I'm gonna sign out. Oh, I got blurry. Can I not be blurry? There it goes. It's back. Brittany, are you not going to Celebration? I thought you might go. That's sad. I'm really excited for Celebration. I think it's going to be really, really fun. I also think it's going to be really, really stressful. Like D23 was very stressful for me. I had a lot of fun, but I did probably cry like every single day because I was so stressed out. It was great. Don't get me wrong. It was super great, especially the last day. I think the third day was the best day because we had gotten used to it. But now that I know what to expect, I think Celebration is going to be better just because I know what it's going to be like going into it. I'm sure it's going to be worse than D23, but I feel like I'll be able to handle it just a little bit better. Yes, inside the park. So Celebration is a Star Wars convention, so it's Star Wars Celebration. This year it's going to be in Chicago, but they do it, I think they started doing it every other year. And it's like D23 or Comic-Con, but it's just Star Wars stuff. So that they're going to bring like stuff for Episode 9. There's going to be all kinds of other panels. The main thing that like I'm super excited about is the 9 panel. Like I definitely want to get in and I definitely want to see that. Everything else is just going to kind of be like icing on the cake. It's 5 days, so there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, but it's, yeah, that 9 trailer. The 9 trailer will probably drop during Celebration. It'll be everywhere, but it'll drop at Celebration first, and then they'll probably put it online. Yeah, Alex and I are gonna camp out in the 9 line in our Reylo Snuggies and in our Kylo Ren is a punk bitch t-shirt. I bought mine. I'm excited. I saw that and I was like, I have to have this thing. I'm super excited. The hype for 9 is real. It's really real. I wish it was April. I'm ready for it. Actually, well, I like fall. I'm super excited that it's fall now. But I'm really excited for it to be April because 1, I get to go on a vacation. 2, I get to see all of my friends in person. And 3, Star Wars for 5 straight days. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Well, they showed the official trailer for The Last Jedi at that Celebration. They showed behind the scenes stuff at D23. So I would assume that they're going to bring, if not a trailer, then a teaser to Celebration, because that's what just because that's what they did before. That's when like that teaser poster dropped and everything. That was all at Celebration. Um, Episode 9 is in December. Oh, it's not this December. I'm not ready for it to be this December. As much as I want episode 9, the fact that it's ending is terrifying. Because I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life when it's over. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm ready for it. It's gonna be great. And it's just, yeah, it's gonna be super fun. I'm mostly excited to see all of the friends that I've made on Twitter at Celebration because a lot of the Raylos are gonna be there. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. But that is everything I got for you today. My mom texted me. I got food. They brought me some Sonic, which apparently they don't have in Canada. I'm sorry, Alex, but I'm having some Sonic on your behalf. But that's everything I got for you this week. I don't know who's going to be hosting next week until Josh and Angie have a stable setup. It's just going to be one of us hosting unless they want to host it together. So it's probably going to be one of them. Or it might be me again. If it's me again, I'll try not to talk about Star Wars. We'll see what happens. Oh yeah, but I was gonna say because by the time this comes out, Resistance will be on, except it won't be. So yeah, just play it by ear. We'll announce all that kind of stuff on the podcast on Mondays. So don't worry about that stuff. And if you're a patron, I just want to let you guys know that there is some Patreon exclusive content that will be dropping tomorrow. We had a little bit of a blooper from tomorrow's podcast 1901. It's great. It's Angie's most embarrassing moment. And if you're a patron, you can experience that because we got it all recorded. So you'll definitely want to check that out. But that is everything I got for today. And I will leave it here. So here's an awkward outro as I end the stream. So bye, everyone.